Ars Poetica. To Alexander Petrie and all those who have declared poetry obsolete. Woo! Yeah. I'm glad you asked to be proven wrong. Let me sound the first note that with overtones that may be taken up by anyone in this room. You want to ask, can a poem change the world? Can a poem spark revolution? Fair. It's an open question for us. I think yes. People I respect say no. I think no. People I respect say yes. I don't know what I think.
Honesty?
Lenin loved Chernyshevsky, but it's hard to say if what is to be done would have lost force without novelistic precedent. Revolutionary is a separate vocation that does not leave time for writing poems, or, for that matter, concertos or jazz riffs or paintings. If this is why poetry is dead, then you just declared all the arts in America and wrote the certificate. There is no school for shaking things up. There never has been, but study makes the master. Milton crashed with his parents for 7 years just to prepare himself to be a poet. And most of your high school staples spent their school years with Latin and Greek. I can see that poetry schools do not institutionalize the production of revolutionaries. At least they make jobs. Last year, I wrote poet on my tax forms, and not even post-ironically. Not banker, Elliot, Dr. Williams, insurance agent, Pounds, bitter barista, my future self. You say, it once did change the world, shake things up. Your booming, barbaric yawp was only loud 150 years later in a B-rate movie. The author of Your Wasteland wrote to Pound about style and living up to tradition, showing professional anxiety to trump any MFA students while cozying up with the Nazis. At least we have the decency to be vaguely uneasy about our gatekeeping. Like Homer, his imagined vocation was to hew to tradition and create our myths that bind. Myth-making is not a revolutionary activity. Never mind revolution. Is poetry dead? Fun fact. Poets double as fact-checkers. Shame on you that a poet can get his facts straighter than you can get yours. Corrective 1. Dead to you is not dead to the world. Correction 2. Not a single person is here to suck up for class credit. Correction 3. I know more than 6 people read contemporary poetry because I promise each MFA holder has more than 6 guilt-prone friends and relatives. 3B. About 6 people read and liked Whitman in his lifetime, and he had to publish himself. Correction 4. If you had come to a writing workshop, like done research, someone would have constructively reminded you that due diligence is part of journalism. If poetry is wounded, it is not poets on the front lines of the assault. This is what happens when poetry becomes the day job. Your Walt Whitman would have been a great inaugural poet. Now, at least we have to pay poets to say bland things about America. That laundry list you heard at a reading, I will call it a bad poem if you won't. And while I'll be the first to slam that monotonous cadence, I want you to try on this living list for size. Poetry Alive, Poets House, Poets Corner, New Rican Poets Cafe, The Poetry Project, Poetry Out Loud, Youth Speaks. I'm a poet, so let me drop the beat and give you some numbers. 36,000 students ages 15 to 90 in a massive global poetry class with 16 million in venture capital funding that's slated to repeat. Poems written from prison. One more poetry movement started in prison. Workshops keeping queer kids in schools. A transnational, multi-generational army of poetry files blessing their homelands for creating a caring culture for poetry they don't often see in the otherwise golden America. These aren't pretty images forged with poetic licenses from a tangle of words. Just plain, newsworthy facts. Poetry is more about truth than words. It is a concert of mind, eyes, and heart. A way to tell feelings you can't explain, which is all of them. It can't change the world. It's not a war, or a cancer cure, or a plague, or climate change, or revolution. Few things are. But with poetry in hand, we are catching the same breath that was taken 2,000 years ago. With it, old lives have been saved in memory and new ones with hope. Alex, read some more poems. Come talk with us in this home that poetry built. I don't know if poetry is revolutionary, but it is necessary.